What's poppin', 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 y'all? How is everybody doing this evening? Let's see. I'm sure there are quite a few folks that will be joining us at some point, but I hope everybody survived the internet apocalypse thing that happened today. I believe it was global too. Watermelon schnapps. No, I will not be drinking watermelon schnapps. But there is quite a few things that I do want to go over. But how's everybody really doing? I don't think the last time I did a live, I tried it with this camera and it kept zonking out on me. So hopefully I've got that bad boy figured out. And, we have a good live. So you can see that I still have an empty aquarium behind me. And it is because I am waiting for some more supplies to come. Because when you purchase this aquarium behind me, you're supposed to have more things with it. And I didn't have those things. So in a nutshell, it is on hold until we get to that point. And I'm going to try something completely different today in terms of how I'm reading these comments, because I have a big screen to this side. I'm looking at the camera here, the microphone's here, and now I have this, I guess, iPad right in front of me to make sure that it's all going smoothly. So I'm getting another aquarium from Custom Aquariums. I don't know if you saw last Thursday that it was happening. All I am doing is waiting for the call from the shipping company. Once that company calls, that puppy will be in place and ready to rock and roll, ultimately to put the Tropheus in. And then I think I'm going to do Petrochromis Travasse with them. And then Slash just hangs out in a tub until Aquashella Dallas, which is Halloween. What's the date today? The 4th. So 26 days till this bad boy kicks off. It's pretty sweet. Our province. So Biggs has been in the comments just jamming. Uptown Reef Keeper, what's crack-a-lackin'? So this aquarium, not having stuff in it is okay because we've got all of the blinds that we ordered to be installed by none other than the infamous Wendy. She's the one that's going to be taking care of all of that, because if I mess it up, we'll have to, I don't know what we would have to do. But then all of my coral is sitting at my local store, Prestige Worldwide. And yeah, get the fish set up, slacker. I can't set anything up if I don't have anything. I have a paludarium set up in the fish room, but everybody wanted to see the warehouse, so I posted the warehouse video on Sunday. And yeah, that's it. Disappointing. What's disappointing? You're disappointing. Petros are nasty. Which type of Tropheus? It's the Tropheus I already have. And I don't know, my camera just gave me a warning. I have no idea what it said. But oh well, it is what it is. So the Tropheus are Moragos. They're the ones that I've had. They're just as nasty. And the Travasse, I'm hoping to get smaller so that they intermingle as well as can be. I just really want this fish room done. That's the main drive, is having this done. And while it's going to take some time, it is what it is, right? It's going to be a fight no matter what I do inside my brain. So John Jr. just said, which aquarium do you like, Planet or Custom Aquarium, and why? So it came down to quite a few things. I wanted 2 massive paludariums. So I could have went and got 2 paludariums from Custom Aquariums, and then I could have got the 2 6-footers from Planet. I could do that. But I am this weird creature, this weird human being, and I need to have things that match. So it would cost me far more to try to get 2 companies to match the woodwork and the paint as opposed to just going to one company. I also am affiliated with Custom Aquariums. So that's another reason why I went with them. But the reason why I am affiliated with them is because there are a few things that I prefer over pretty much every other custom aquarium manufacturer. And that is their module framing system up top. I can take it apart. It's not plastic. It's not molded. It's not plastic cut. It's metal framing, and it's patented, and I can take it apart and replace it if I ever needed to, or take it apart to put things in the top if I ever had to do that and replace it. The other thing is I really appreciate their silicone work. Now, this Aquaforest tank behind me, their silicone work is fantastic, but this is a pre-production. When you're doing custom, sometimes they whip them out so fast that it looks like somebody just vomited silicone along the edges and the sides. Let's see. What's this empty tank behind you? It's a saltwater tank. Stop saying Ethel Waney. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Ethel Waney. I don't know. And as the sun goes down, the ambiance gets better and better. Let me turn on this other light real quick. Little yellow, but much better. So yeah, if I had it my way, everything would be absolutely done and ready to rock. And so it's not, and I'm kind of in waiting. And then on top of it, the traveling thing is awesome, right? And it actually occupies my mind waiting for these aquariums to show up. But then on top of it, for the first time ever in the process of the move and trying to find all of my stuff, I ran out of wingless fruit flies for my dart frogs. So I immediately jumped online to try to find it. And because of all of the shortages, guess what? I couldn't find media at first. I couldn't find flies. And then when I did find flies, it wasn't full producing cultures. And these people want an arm and a leg. So I'm trying to get a culture started as fast as I can. I ended up getting one off of eBay because Josh's Frogs was completely out. And I'm hoping that I could produce some by Wednesday so that I can feed some more. I've been feeding spring tails. What does it say? Biggs correcting me. Travase. Why do people from the north think that they're superior? Yeah, I'm glad I turned on the lights. Wendy said it was creepy. It is what it is. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Where's everybody from? That would be great if I can get some of these comments jamming for where folks are from. Have you ever experienced multi-tank syndrome? And if so, how did you deal with it? Also, hello from the Republic of Ireland. Ah, sweet. Hello. Yeah, I deal with it all the time. You want to set up so many aquariums, and at the end of the day, are you really setting up aquariums that you're going to enjoy, or are you setting up aquariums to try to compete with this suppressed keeping up with the Joneses next door? I've fallen victim to it. Many people have fallen victim to it. And, when I look at it at the end of the day, you really have to pull back all those layers and say, okay, do I really, really want to set this up? Right? It's the same thing if you're buying a home, if you're purchasing a car, if you're getting into a relationship, maybe her toes hang off her sandals. I mean, can you live with that? It's when I think about these things, it's the same. Can I live with the color of this car? All of that plays the same as an aquarium. So the fish room, I'm setting up 3 aquariums, well, 2 that I will absolutely keep the same and are going to keep the same species. And it's exactly what I want to do. And then I've got this idea for the final one, because it'll keep me satisfied. That's what she said. So Josh Cunningham said it probably the best. Never try to keep up with anybody. One, you'll always lose. You'll lose out to, you spend too much money. You'll lose out to arguments with your spouse or yourself or your cat. Speaking of cats, Sonic, the cat that I absolutely adored, just vanished one day living in Texas. I think coyotes got him. But anyways, the other cat that I had was Jack, which was my ex-wife's. And in the divorce credo, she gave me the cats. And then we had a friend locally that was like, oh my goodness, I've wanted a cat. This would be so awesome. The kids, it's going to be great. So she took the cat, Jack, and she's had him, oof, I couldn't even tell you, 7 months, 8 months. And Jack's coming back tonight. Him and Mando do not get along. So I've got to find him a really nice home. I'm not going to take him to a pound or anything like that. So he's going to be going into the fish room because there's no other way to cordon off the dog to the cat other between 2 doors. And then they're just going to terrorize the doors. Josh is fully out of control. If anybody has been in his basement, which basement? Yeah, no, Josh is out of control. Josh switches up his fish room in terms of his stock load more than Josh changes his underwear. So we got folks from St. Louis, Louisiana, Australia, Southern Orange County, Bucks County, PA. More California, Canada. That's cool. And then Josh is from the great state of Michigan. Is that how you say it? New York City, stand up. Minnesota. I don't think I've been to Minnesota. It's like one of the few states that I haven't been to. So wasn't trying to keep up with anybody, to be honest. I have a bad habit of being really impulsive. I love all the tanks, but I forget I have other interests too, not to mention college. So I too have a lot of interests. I too can find myself impulsive. Like when I said, I want to keep everything the same. Matter of fact, Wendy can attest to this. I got, if I'm using, this is silly, but this is just the way my mind works. If I get a body wash, I want all of the other products to be that same brand as much as I can. It's insane. And the impulse is, it can be bad at times for anybody. So I think when it comes down to keeping animals, that's another thing that we have to put in front of us. Like, this is a living creature. I don't want to say our job, but it's our duty. If we're going to bring these into a glass box that we're setting up, that we're going to provide them with the absolute best environment we can. That should be with anything we do, right? We should always be taking care of our things, and we should always be taking care of other lives that we are basically in charge of caring for, because ultimately fish cannot care for themselves in a glass box, right? Unless they are into really nasty water and snails and algae and no light. Then somebody, I guess there's an exception for everything. But at the end of the day, I think what you have to do is really sit down and say, okay, I'm comfortable with this many tanks. This is where I want to be. And then maybe it's something where you tear it down and you take those fish back to your local store if you can set something up like that. or it's an evolving ecosystem. Maybe you take up a singular aquarium and you literally start from the basis to learn more about how this small world starts to transform on the microscopic level, all the way to, you know, the actual fish and inhabitants you're going to put in there. Guns, food, fish. You walk into this man's house, all he's got is guns. You open the fridge, he's got beef jerky and meats. And then to the left is an aquarium. I love it. And then with college, I mean, good grief. Slow down. I don't know how college is in Ireland, but slow down. Really slow down. Biggs, don't say red flag. It's a trigger word. What? He said red flag? It is a trigger word. I'm tired of this red flag stuff. I like how Wendy hasn't been granted the title of admin. Hasn't even earned it yet. Where did he say it's fully out of control? Anyone has been in his basement. Wasn't trying. I don't know where red flag is, but red flag is a trigger. It is a trigger, right? Don't get me started. Almost gun safe is under the 125. Hey, I guess that is a good stand for an aquarium. So yeah, that aquarium is, I'm supposed to get the call. What's today? Monday. I'm supposed to get the call Wednesday. And that's when they'll tell me when they'll be here. It was a 3-day transit time from Wisconsin. And I mean, I'm stoked because I've got this 100-gallon tub in the fish room, and it's killing me, guys. I also ordered an AC heat dual unit that I'll be installing, hopefully the correct way. Who takes longer to get ready in the morning? Jay and his products, which apparently all have to blend, or Wendy. I don't know. Depends on the day. Depends on the day. Do you like my new products? The dude from Ireland, only guns we have in Ireland is a shotgun, and only farmers with 30+ acres can have one. College in Ireland is one of the hardest in the world. Bruh, stop keeping so many aquariums then. Should we have a race? I'll destroy you. Our national police force doesn't even have guns. Oh boy. Yeah, that's actually very similar to Fiji. Only their special tactics police have guns. All the regular police do not, which is weird because then they let the military happen, and the military can carry weapons, and then there's coups, and this is the world. Isn't Red Flag the Air Force aggressor squadron that simulates Russian fighter techniques? Yeah, but Red Flag is also war games out of, I think it's Operation Red Flag. And it's out of Nevada, and it's where a bunch of air forces and Army Air Corps from around the world come and they battle. So it's kind of cool. But seriously, Red Flag, heinous. This is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. Oh, did you see that guy over there? Yeah, he's pretty sweet. Girl, he done thrown up some red flags. The red flags. Who created red flags? First of all, maybe you're the red flag. Huh? Maybe you're the one that created some false flag that you want to raise because you suck at whatever it is you're doing. Literally, red flag, gaslighting. What was the other one? There's another one. But gaslighting too. Like, first of all, learn what gaslighting is before you're going to use it. Or better yet, before you use many of the words you use, like, girl, I was in this relationship and he's just gaslighting me. What? No, he was not. You were just silly. Okay? He wasn't gaslighting you because you saw it on Reddit, or you Instagram person you follow was like, Gaslighting. Don't let it happen to you, everyone. Like, chill out. All of you, chill out. I wouldn't know such things. I'm Canadian. Actually, you do, because the most I've ever heard it, red flag, gaslighting, slow roll, yielding, kerosene lamp, is all from Canada, especially the West Coast. So now we'll get back to the aquarium stuff. Actually, I want to see if this light, I got this little light on top. I want to see if it lights me up a little bit. Look at that. Ooh, these are nice and magnetic. Oh, what's that? Let's see. Ooh, did nothing. Maybe just a little bit. Okay. 5 shootings in the last 7 years. Yeah, but I bet you there's a lot of, never mind. We are not going to talk about Ireland or any of that stuff, because I believe there's a lot of stabbings there. Tell us how you really feel. Oh, don't. Seriously, do not. There are a lot of things in this world that I am triggered by. But I want to talk to you about my favorite aquarium device right now. And feel free, you can ask any questions you want. I'd be curious to know, how does the microphone sound? It's now on this this little cool thing. I'm trying to be professional here. So if you've been doing aquariums, if you've been hobbying around with aquariums for a long time, Chris, you're really going to get it, man. If you've been keeping aquariums, you've probably used just about all of the major things that one could use. And I've used a ton of different products in terms of, wave pumps, canisters, return pumps, air stones, lights, dry goods in terms of rock, sand, all of that stuff. I mean, I've used so many different products before I found what really worked for me. But as of late, I found myself really utilizing this one tool. And it's a tool, but it's a feature of this tool that really, this isn't even a plug. Like, Wendy's like, are you really checking to make sure everything's good? When I set up the aquarium room, I thought that it would maintain a lower temperature inside. Boy, was I wrong. But I already had these bad boys, which are controllable wave makers, right? Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary other than that warranty. But seriously, you can create all these different flow patterns, but that's not it. It's actually the app in which you connect it. And yes, I do work for this company. Yes, I am a salesperson for this company. But I am letting you know that I'm legit using this product more times than I can count. So there's I don't know if you can see it. There's a little aquarium back there. And this is how I can control it. I don't know if you can see it back there. Let me see if I can do a little zoom in. That'd be kind of cool, huh? So I'm controlling it with this bad boy. And you can see right up here. Zoom, get it. Temperature. And on top of it, it will send me notifications when it's disconnected. Like today, when the internet went down all over the world, it disconnected 2 of my pumps, notifying me that it got disconnected. And then it freaks out and tells me it's been disconnected. But the cool part is it remains on in terms of power unless there was a power outage. And if there was a power outage, it would 100% tell me that there was a power outage. It's just built in. I'm literally using this more than I thought I would. I mean, I'm getting the notifications when I set, I'll kind of explain it real quick. So I can set up parameters on how the temperature will kind of fluctuate, right? And then I can keep these fluctuations. Now, more times than not, saltwater folks would use this a heck of a lot more. But now I don't have to have anything in my tank that is hideous in terms of temperature because there's already a wave pump hidden somewhere. It's already flowing. And yeah, it's the number one tool I've been using. And then I'm hoping at some point Cice from Italy creates, a canister filter that I can connect to that. And then, there's some other cool products that, will, I guess, interact with it. So on the saltwater side, it's really abundant. On the freshwater side, not so much. Like I don't run any controllers right now at all. I run smart plugs because I find them to be far easier and less intrusive on my life. But the other two that I just showed you that were disconnected were because I created a whole new network today after the internet went down. I recreated my whole Google Mesh system. I'm going to be adding another Wi-Fi point to be better so that I can film all the way on the other side into the fish room, which is in the detached garage. And it's going to save me money because I was going to run a special system. And money is going away like water on a water change between Wendy and I. That impulse thing, you got to have a shed, got to have a fence. All this stuff is happening all at one time. So, what are you folks talking about? You can't keep Asian arowanas in the US. Meh. Does it resync itself once the internet comes back? Yes. So if you were running, for instance, one, and I changed my network, which is why it did not come back on. But what would happen is, let's say, so it's telling me I need to confirm. If I was running these two, one as a slave, meaning it would follow it, or I can run it opposite of it and create preset programs. Once the internet comes back on, it will connect back. Sometimes it takes a little bit. It won't be instantaneously just because it's got to communicate with a server in Italy. But once that happens, it'll fully come on board and back to its regularly scheduled program. However, if it doesn't come back on for some crazy reason, it will just stay exactly where it was programmed. And then you can control it from the physical controller, wherever you decide to put that, under the aquarium, on the side of it, whatever. I think somebody asked how much it was. It's like $200. But it's more expensive than, let's say, a regular plug and play one. And, you can absolutely plug it into a smart switch for it to turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, that whole thing. But the temperature thing, which is patented globally, which is kind of cool, it's there. And the controller, I haven't done it yet, but you can purchase an aftermarket battery backup and plug it in. So if the power did go out and you didn't have a generator and you just wanted some flow, well, it'll do that. So it's probably one of my favorite tools. And I used to hide these wave makers the best that I could. And the size of it is really small. And working with Cice is great, but I also pay attention to other companies. And really the only other company in this space that, was, and I say was because they're gone now, was Hydor. They had the first Coralia. I'll be the first one to tell you it was a fantastic product. As time went on and they updated them, they weren't as fantastic. So, if you do have a Hydor product, I don't know if you're going to get any warranty support or any type of support whatsoever. So just be cautious when you're buying replacement stuff. Make sure that, you're able to get those things. And so switching, I had Coralias in my house, but switching all of these, at first I didn't switch to the controllable ones. I switched to the regular ones. And it was great for me because I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then for work, I was doing some videos on how to for this, and phew, it's insane. It was like night and day. Now, I just read something out of the corner of my eye. Aquarium keeping is getting freshwater fancy, but that's definitely a great product. If you think freshwater is fancy, you should look at saltwater. Unreal, like literally unreal what you can do and the capabilities you have with these controllers and these lights. I mean, some of these lighting, a good light. I'm not talking aftermarket stuff or, rebranded products or something that I can find off Amazon. I'd rather look at supporting a business that actually had ties to an entity or a family, whatever the case was. So, somebody that's all about, I'm going to save like $20 if I buy this, and then I could just buy another one. Well, if money's no object, then why don't you just buy one that's going to last you? And this isn't just Seche. This is any product. Like, why aren't you just going to buy something that's going to last you, or something that has a warranty, instead of, well, I'll just buy another one, right? Or they go, this is the same exact thing, but right? Like, every product is designed a specific way. And then there are a ton of other products that are manufactured, which are backed, made in China, and then backed by a company that's maybe out of the United States or Canada or Australia, or it doesn't matter. And then there's just companies in China that are pumping out replicas, but they're not exactly the same on, we'll use Amazon, for instance. Yeah, I can return it to Amazon. But then these same people will be like, God, can you believe it, bro? Like, there's so much stuff coming out of China. And it's like, come on. It's a double-edged sword for you, guy. Like, let's figure it out. Like, what is it for you? So at the end of the day, you got to use what works for you. There's really no soapbox to stand on to say this product is better than this product, because at the end of the day, that product that I tell you that's better, like the temperature, the alerts, these work for me. This is exactly what I want. Now I don't have to go and spend $600, $700, $800 on a controller to tell me all of these things, right? Because I could test my pH really quick. I could test my salinity really quick. These are things that I can do, whether it's saltwater or freshwater. So I'm not the person that's going to spend all that kind of money to dose. Planet tanks, I'm not putting CO2 in. I'm not putting the whole kabang and caboodles all on these. It's just not the way I operate. So I would rather spend, a couple $100 on a power head. I could put one in each of my big aquariums. I don't need two, and then I could buy a cheaper or smaller one that isn't controllable and put it on the other side. So it all depends on what it is. It's not any more expensive or any less expensive. It's up to you on what you want and what works for you. Thanks for the chat, fellow. It's 1:30 in the morning, and yeah, so you should probably study for college. So, why is a 55-gallon tank? I'm not sure what that word is. Maybe it's easily to keep fish in than a small tank like a 10-gallon. I've had a 55-gallon tank, and I've never had a pH problem like I have in my tank. So if you're comparing a 55 to 10 gallons, the best thing I can tell you, first of all, the bigger the aquarium, the less immediate impact a fluctuation is going to have, because there's more water, right? But think about it this way. If you were living in a 10 square foot house or a 55 square foot house, and there was an issue in the 10 square foot house and the same issue in a 55 or the 55 square foot house, which one is going to impact you faster? That's exactly why a 55-gallon aquarium is going to be far easier to keep than a 10-gallon aquarium, because you're still going on that 50% water change or 40% water change. Evaporation on a 10-gallon tank is probably enough, to wait a few days and then to top it off and not have these massive pH fluctuations. Wave pumps with built-in temp. Yep. I have Hydor. I am so sorry, guy. Yeah, EO evap. I was just in the fish room. Matter of fact, I had the garage door open, and because of that 100-gallon tub, it's insane. The humidity level. In Australia, our shops don't sell saltwater products or fish because we are surrounded by saltwater. But I can buy saltwater fish off the internet, but only the fish, not the corals. Really? Is that true? Like all of Australia? Because I thought Australia had like a frag swap. The other thing is Hawaii's surrounded by ocean, and they can't take fish out of it or coral because there's a lot of laws with it. So there are things you can do like purchasing them online or these local shops. So that's kind of crazy. I've never heard of that. I bought Current USA wave makers. All 3 broke within a year, but they did send me replacements. After these break, won't buy Current USA anymore. I mean, that's your choice. Like, I don't know who makes Current USA wave makers. I've never used their system at all. So I couldn't tell you if it was great or if it wasn't great. So I'm glad that they sent you replacements, and I hope that they work for as long as you need them to work. What's the drink of this live chat? This is actually a new whiskey. And I always forget the name of the distillery. I bought 3 bottles. It was, if you remember ODA 595, the group that was in Afghanistan right after September 11th. Some of these guys got out and they started a distillery. I want to say it's Freedom Horse. I don't know. But I bought 3 bottles. It's actually not bad. And I'm drinking the new Coke. I don't know. It's Coke Zero with a red label now. So T-Bones Fish has said something about Live Rock. Don't get me started on that debate too. I'm tired of that Live Rock thing. Horse Soldier Bourbon. That's what it is. No, but the distillery. Babe, what's the distillery called? So this is called Horse Soldier Bourbon. This is the regular one. Then there's single barrel. And then there's single barrel aged, I think. But the distillery, American Freedom. Yeah. Yeah, so this Live Rock thing is absolutely silly too. Like I don't know. It's not live. If it's dry, it's not live. It has to be wet, and it has to remain wet for majority of the time. Like this Live Rock thing is just, they get it out of a box with cement dust on it, and they're like, yeah, I just picked up Live Rock. No, man, no, you picked up rock. It's like picking up a cinder block at Lowe's or Home Depot. So does anybody have, any random questions, aquarium questions? I will be at Aquashella, like I said, Halloween. If you folks are going to be there, it'd be great to see you. I'll be at the CJ booth. And then I think that's it for shows for this year. And then next year is probably going to pop off like crazy, which will be fun. It'll be very entertaining. And hopefully we can start steering ourselves as a society, or as a human, back to some basics of respect and, maybe having a little bit of empathy for folks and not being so quick to judge. I mean, I think that would be a really cool thing. Ruben Rivera said, I got a 65-gallon sitting in the garage. Been thinking of trying salt. Can I get away with using a hang on the back for the time being? You can. I mean, that's what these guys do. And, when they come to the shows. So you can start it with that. If you have a canister laying around, a canister would be far better. I also think that it's like, I think it's funny when you talk to saltwater folks, and yeah, I've kept saltwater now for a couple of years. It's not very hard. Saltwater folks. It's not hard. It's more expensive. Don't get me wrong. Outright, it is more expensive to start. But I was told, you can't. Okay. And of course, don't take this the wrong way. Not every saltwater person sounds this way, but they're like, bruh, you can't keep a saltwater tank and have a canister filter. It's a nitrate factory, bruh. What? It's a nitrate factory. Anything that you do not clean and you abundantly feed, especially broadcast feeding with corals and fish and all the live food and the high nutrients, anything you feed and you don't do maintenance on is going to be a nitrate factory. So if you got a canister, bruh, you simply do water changes. And you test, and you test. That's it. It's the same thing if you were running a sump. The only difference is, yeah, you've got more gas exchange because the sump's wide open. But honestly, for me, it's just the sump. These guys and girls, they just cram stuff in it. They're like, need a reactor for the calcium, and I need a reactor for this pellet. I don't know what this pellet does, but I'm telling you, it is fantastic. And then I've got my bio, and then I'm going to add this block. And then I'm going to perform an injection of oxygen through this vinyl tube, and it's going to pump these bubbles over the screen, and it's going to create algae. And then the algae is going to reduce all of my nitrates. And then all of that new water is going to go up over these 42 baffles. And then as it's doing that, it's disrupting, and there's more gas exchange, and it's going to go into a skimmer. And from that skimmer, I'm going to shoot it through a sock. I mean, it is absolutely insane. And I found the principle, less is more with a saltwater aquarium. Don't jump into high-end coral like acros where you need special light and parameters can't fluctuate. Most coral live in crap water anyways, unless you're getting super deep. And majority of the time, it's aquacultured. And are you going to trust a guy named, trash can whale guy selling coral out of his garage to have the most pristine, aquariums? No, majority of the time, it's crap water. So the idea is once you find something, stick with it. Don't switch a lot, right? Because especially salt. I in saltwater, I always find these guys like, yeah, I was using this salt for like my first 6 months, and then I switched to this salt, and man, everything died. It was the salt. It was the salt. Was it the salt, or was it the process of you completely switching to another product without slowly adding it? It's like taking your dog, feeding them dry kibble their, first 6 years of life, and then you're like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna cook him some chickens and some steaks, and I'm gonna broil them up some turkey and some mashed taters there, and sprinkle some gravy on there, and expect them not to spatter the wall like Sherwin-Williams, right? Like that's the idea. Is we have to think about it practically, right? Like practical fish keeping, whether it's saltwater, freshwater, you're building something like, Tanner Serpa does for a jumping spider. It's all practical keeping of these animals. It blows my mind, some of the things there's vodka dosing. Yeah, I get it. And then next thing you know, they'll be dosing honey and honey nut Cheerios as bio rings. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. You can have high nitrates in a canister, in freshwater, in saltwater. Matter of fact, you could take all of the baskets out of the canister and you can run it as just bio, right? And then add another canister on the other side and make it chemical. That's what you're doing in a sump, right? It's not as much surface area, so you can't cram as much in there. And then you can't have this fancy light on it to grow stuff. Like, I get it, but it's like we keep reaching for more and more and more and more. And the more we do that, the more problems that we potentially could face, right? And then it's the same in freshwater. It's just a different specific topic. It's like in freshwater. I've had my tank 7.5 years. I decided I needed a new fish. I saw them on Fish Auction Depot 65.com. I bought them, put them in there. Now my fish look like Morton sprinkled salt all over them. What could be the issue? Everything was fine for 7 years. I don't know. What is the issue? Huh? What's the issue? Saltwater's same conversation, just different topic. I've had an established saltwater aquarium and it's worth like $10,000. Now this is where it gets magnified in saltwater, right? It's like, oh, it's $10,000 I've invested in this thing. I got me a sunburst triple beam ray of light Jesus Christo Super Zoa Ultra. Now my whole tank is melting. What did I do wrong? One person didn't quarantine the fish, the other didn't dip the coral. Right? It's the same conversation. It's just sometimes it's magnified. Now, what I found is if you're gonna put coral into the 65-gallon aquarium, you really need to invest in a decent light. Somebody said smaller or bigger to start out on saltwater. Fowler. Fowler stands for fish only with live rock. I don't understand the point of live rock if you're just putting fish in there. To me, the ecosystem's crap anyways, because you just got fish. So think of it on the same scale as freshwater. It is identical in terms of how things happen. Bigger the aquarium, the less the issue over time. Honestly, it's, the smaller aquarium you can do. The best thing I can tell you is if you want a small aquarium and you want to start and you want some colorful stuff, and maybe you're working with a 12-gallon or 16-gallon, go out and buy yourself one of these small all-in-ones. Maybe do like a 15-gallon, 14-gallon. Get some rock flower anemones, a blue light. You can get yourself a decent light. That's the number one thing I would invest in if you're just starting in saltwater. And then the next would be the pump, right? That's the heart. So I would definitely get yourself a couple of clownfish, get them at the same time, or just keep one. Technically, you cannot keep, I shouldn't say technically, you're not supposed to keep more than 2 in there because they go crazy at each other, but there's exceptions to all these rules. Get yourself some rock flowers. They move around. They're beautiful. They're easy to care for. And there's some really cool colors. Just don't be paying $100 a piece for these little rock flower anemones. And if you think you're going to get the cool symbiosis with the clownfish and the anemone, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen. The anemone has to host the clownfish, and if they don't like it, they'll constantly bang into each other or hover around, and then the clownfish will hide itself, and then the anemone will come up and get caught in a wave pump. And so, yeah. Somebody thought I was making fun of them. No way. No, these are legitimate generalities. I speak from experience of myself on what I learned and what I know. 15 gallons, to me would be a cutoff to start a saltwater aquarium. That's just, I don't know. That's just the way I feel. So don't go any more than that, or any less than that. And don't be scared. I'm scared of a saltwater tank, but I do want to try someday. Honestly, I said that. You can go back years, and I said, not doing it. And then, I take this phenomenal position with Siche. I'm so grateful. And I jump into saltwater because primarily that's where our products, were abundant. Now they're becoming very abundant in freshwater because freshwater folks are realizing that there is value in these products and they're not as expensive as once thought. I mean, our largest canister filter, I think, is $189, and it'll do 120 gallon, medium stocked aquarium. So you can get 2 for the same price as an FX6. And then on top of it, you can customize it any freaking way you want. And we have 2 different styles. And the other style is actually less expensive, but it doesn't do as big of an aquarium. So it's really cool to see the dynamic and learn. So when I jumped in, I said, I'm going to start small. Here I am 160 gallons later and getting ready to rock and roll. And I progressively went from, I progressively and then regressively to progressively move forward. So I started out with a 15 gallon all-in-one. Then we went to that water box that I drilled. I did the whole thing custom. I wanted to learn how all this worked. And then I put them in a 22 gallon bookshelf with a canister filter, and everything survived. Whoa. And then they're at my local store because we're setting up this bad boy, which has a sump underneath it. I'm waiting on the skimmer. You don't need a skimmer right away, especially if you just have some rock flowers and some fish or just fish. You don't need all that jazzy jazz. This is awesome, watching Jay and reading Wendy's messages for double information. Such a great chat. I'm glad that you're getting the double information. What's fantastic about, I think, the aquarium hobby and industry is, I get to learn all the perspectives, right? So I bring what I know about freshwater and I apply them to saltwater. So what you know about freshwater, the only thing that applies differently is the testing, right? The process of cycling is the same. If you want to jumpstart it, you use a product. If you want to wait, go ahead and wait. It's 2021. You don't have to wait anymore. And you could do it still the same exact way with no snake oil. What's really cool about saltwater is you actually, when you make that move, and most saltwater folks won't know this because they don't come over to freshwater because they're just as scared of freshwater as freshwater folks are scared of saltwater. But what I found is I've learned more about freshwater and water quality and parameters making the jump to saltwater. So I'm a hybrid fish keeper, and testing salinity, alkalinity, magnesium, calcium. You don't have to dose these things if your aquarium has them. So the only way that they would deplete is if you had something absorbing them that's non-living, or you have living, AKA corals, that are absorbing these elements, right? So then you would replace these elements. And then from there, you can either manually place them, you could automate the placement in terms of a doser where you just press a button, or then you can go fully automation where it doses once it detects that it's at a certain level. So there's so many different things that you learn that now I can apply. Like alkalinity in freshwater absolutely means something, especially when you're working with ponds and you're changing seasons. There's a ton of things that apply, and it's really cool to learn those aspects and be able to cross use them for both fresh and salt. So the price is a big part of my anxiety. I think I can manage it. Same here. Price is the thought. And if I lose, I F up. And the loss is if I F up. So there is a saying that if you could take $100 bill and light it on fire, then you're ready for reef keeping. I don't believe that. If you go out and buy high-end corals and high-end things, then yeah, okay. You got to be comfortable with that. It is the same with freshwater. If you go out and spend money on a 100-gallon aquarium, and over time you put all this money into it, you put all of these fish into it, the light switch outs, the filtration switch outs, the substrate, the rock, and that tank blows or all of your fish die, it's a loss. Either way, you just lost money. So start slow and learn as you go, and don't bite off more than you can chew. And it's just like, kids. Is your kid walking yet? No. Well, why not? He's 10 months. They said, who's they? Who's they? Who crowned them the jewel of all information? No one, right? So your kid may walk at 14 months. And then they excel by the time they're 6 years old and they're further than the kid that walked at 9, right? So you get what I'm saying in that aspect. Apply that to fish keeping. Just because you've done X, Y, Z and now you're here and everybody's like, oh man, you should already have done this. Maybe you're not comfortable. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you want to learn a little bit more. Maybe you want to educate yourself more before you move forward. And I think that's where we make aquariums us, you. Make the aquarium you. Matter of fact, we just started that on CJ's Instagram page. It's called CJ Strong. It's about making the aquarium and the hobby you, a reflection of you, not me, not you trying to emulate me or me trying to emulate you. It's about you doing what it is you're good at your pace and setting up your aquarium the way you want. If you want a SpongeBob pineapple under the sea, dead center of your aquarium, that's your aquarium. You're the one watching it. Is it something that I would do? No, but it is something that I would do for my son, or it's something that I would do for my mom because they wanted it, right? Because I'm setting up their aquarium. But when you're setting up your aquarium, you've got to make the decision for you. Now you can ask opinions. Hey, would you do this? Why wouldn't you do this? But it doesn't mean that that person's word is 100% written in stone, because not only do things change, but sometimes people have motives. We all do. All of us. I can sit here and talk to you about the Extreme SDC. It's a perfect plug. I work for the company. There's going to be no links. You're going to have to find it yourself. You're not going to have somebody jump in and push you to this product. That's the nature of the beast. Have I put out products that I wanted you folks to buy? 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I don't do that as much anymore. Matter of fact, I now use the products that I really enjoy using. And if that's something you want to use, great. And if not, then it's what you don't want to use. I wanna be like Jay. I want to be like Mike. I think, didn't Liam? Oh, so here's a funny story about I want to be like Jay. Liam, if you don't know who Liam is, Liam's my son, but he's on these kicks, right? He likes Ghostbusters, Halo, Star Wars, and he's been on the Space Jam kick, but the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan. And I showed him, I have a sneaker collection, and impulse buying. And I showed him the sneaker collection, and he told Wendy, I'm going to get these from Dad when I'm older. Like, it's cool at that point, right? Like when I'm doing something, and it's never a perfect scenario, and I try my dangdest, but it doesn't matter if I'm in my room alone. I'm always doing something just as if somebody was watching. Just as if somebody was watching. And so the reason I do that is because if somebody's like, oh, do I want to be liked by the masses? Yeah, of course, everybody does. Do I care what people think of me? No. Do I find it funny when, like, Josh comes in, or Rosie, I want to be like Jay. I find it super entertaining. My goal in life is to inspire, to make you laugh, and to help you in some way, shape, or form live a better life. Have a better day, a minute, a better week, and hopefully keep better aquariums. Because I can tell you that without aquariums, I don't know if I would be sitting here. I don't. I know that aquariums gave me a focus. Aquariums led me to you. Aquariums brought me all over to meet new people, to have new friends, to go down a path I never thought I would go down. That doesn't mean that keeping aquariums is going to put you on that path. But what aquariums does is it connects us to a network that we didn't know we had, that we didn't know we needed. And that network could help us get through some of the shittiest days. Or maybe we're having a great day and we needed an extra laugh. Or we learned something, because we really should be growing our minds, our brains. I am here for my man crush fix. God, Josh Cunningham. Lonnie Lomax, I met you at Aquashella, Chicago. I was happy to chop it up with you, but you looked at me like a suspect the whole time. Okay. But I did take your advice on starting over my tank with velvet. So, Lonnie, if you felt that I looked at you as a suspect, I apologize. I was not only extremely exhausted, I was getting ready for a move, but I had lost my voice and I had some bad allergies, man. I don't want to say I was miserable, but I was dang close. But I truly hope that your aquarium, man, I can't believe I looked at you like a suspect. Maybe you were a suspect. No, I really hope your aquarium is far better now than when we talked. And that's a prime example, like somebody that had velvet, which I don't know. I look at it like Brooklyn Nella. And this is for saltwater folks. You know, it attacks, and sometimes it's better to start over than to try to mitigate what's happening. Like if you can save some fish and get them to quarantine if they're not too stressed, because you're going to stress them out, then you know it is what it is. But aquariums are fun, man. Woman. Aquariums, you know, you can come home or you can walk into another room and I mean, you're just in another world. When you're setting it up, you're fixated. When you're feeding, you're focused. You know, we learn so much about things that we didn't ever think we wanted to know about: plants and soil and substrate and witch fish and pH and nitrite, nitrates and ammonia and a nitrogen cycle. And, you know, we learn what works best for us and what doesn't work as well for us as it does from others. And we learn that sponge filters and air stones are absolutely hideous. You know, we learn that there are people out there in the world that have the same interests as we do. Maybe locally, you find it hard to have friends, to hang out, to communicate, because your interests don't gel with a lot of folks that are around you or maybe at work. And so aquarium keeping is your way to meet friends, to have an assimilation with another group of hobbyists. It's the same with anything. It's like, you know, Lego builders or, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, you know. And what's funny is I could picture, like, I picture this. Okay, so you've got aquarium folks, you've got folks that play World of Warcraft, and then you've got you know, Lego builders, right? And you're all kind of in the same area, and it's, you know, aquarium folks are like, I don't know about that guy, but he's funny, man. He just playing games and, you know, just what's he doing? He's wasting life. I'm keeping aquariums, man. It's cool. It's cool to keep aquariums, man. And then you got the World of Warcraft guy going, this guy is silly, man. I'm eating Cheetos,
playing games with my homies. These guys are suckers. I can just turn mine off. Ain't no maintenance required.
And then you've got, the Lego folks.
They have no idea. None of them. We're smart. We're intelligent. We can build towers out of rainbow blocks. We have our own TV show. Lego Master Builders. Y'all are suckers.
Every group has their own feeling of we do things because we're necessarily better than another group of folks that do something else. Maybe you hunt for Bigfoot. I'm not judging. I'm still going to.
I go hunting for Bigfoot every 6 months, and me and about 700 folks, we're going to find that furry creature.
Like, it's entertaining. Life, humans, we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And whether it's aquariums, what I can tell you is I look forward to putting out a video. And I'll say this until the last upload. If it can help one person or entertain one person, it's all that matters. Ruben said his kids make fun of him because he'll be looking at a pic or they will show me something, and I always point it out if there is a tank in the picture. They would do the same thing if their favorite thing was in a photo. And that's what cracks me up. Manny Jr. said, I've been watching you since day one. You got me into keeping predator haps, and I've been keeping them ever since. I have all the rare predator haps in a 220. Thanks for all your informational videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you stuck to what you stuck to. Am I the only one that sees an aquarium in a movie or some type of show and hoping they don't break it for effect? Yeah. Okay. My son met Jay in Orlando. Yeah, your kid was awesome, man. Your kids were funny. I'm glad I got to meet them. That was fun. You know what I find myself doing with aquariums? I was just in North and South Carolina, and I went into a restaurant with Carolina Aquatics and Jacob from Fritz Aquatics, and it was called Stack's Deli. They had 3 aquariums in this deli, this delicatessen. It was more like a restaurant. And the first one I walked up to, it was like, I didn't even, this is bad, but it's like I walked in, and if you're paying somebody to maintain an aquarium, I should be able to walk in and go, oh, wow. But instead, I walk into a restaurant locally or Stack's Deli, and I'm like, trash, trash, trash. Why would they put that substrate? Why is the substrate 6 inches deep? Why is that fish in there with that fish? And who in their right mind is using that for that? And why does it look like that? I mean, come on. Why? I want to be able to walk in and be like, now that guy, whoever did that aquarium, that guy is an artist, a beautiful artist. And he needs more recognition. Like that is the idea. If you're going to do something, folks, do it with everything you got. If it's getting up in the morning and walking down the street, do it with 100% gusto. Who cares what other people think? If you are keeping plants, or you are building Legos, or playing World of Warcraft, or you are messing with aquariums, do it with 100%. Don't half-ass anything. Not your job, not your relationship, not your friendships, not your house cleaning, because your house is nasty. Folks, if you want to snack and eat chips, do it with 100% gusto. But just understand that those chips and those snacks is going to do 100% gusto to your booty. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, Thursday, Aquarium Uncut. It'll be raw. It'll be real. And it'll be what's happening. And then Sunday. No monster trucks, but there will be a video on the Paludarium. It is the first fully set up new aquarium in this house. He is trying to tell me something. Nope. Not trying to tell you nothing. Folks, it's been real. I appreciate it. You have a good night. Thanks for watching. How?